Why are humans the best? When I was younger and there was some weird insect in my room, my mom used to always try her best to save it and simply send it back to nature. Now that I'm older, I realize, how come it is so easy for us to resort to killing when any inconvenience involving animals happens to us? For instance, if a spider is in your room, it's very easy for you to resort to killing it in order to get rid of it. Or when a stray dog bites someone in the streets, it's very rare for it not to be put down shortly afterwards. But let's try to put ourselves into their perspective. Maybe it was too cold outside for the spider to live, and so it decided to seek refuge in our home. Or maybe the stray dog's babies were nearby, and this is why it decided to bite the stranger as a defense mechanism, because it is not able to speak verbally as we are used to. So, why do us humans find it so easy to kill them when any inconvenience is happening to us regarding those poor animals? Take, for example, Franz Kafka's The Metamorphosis book. The Metamorphosis is a book based on a man who woke up one day to another, transformed into a cockroach that is human-sized. When his family woke up and realized that it was him, they started to treat him in a different way, in which they started to let him stay in his room, and they kept him isolated. This ultimately led him to his death. And this shows how us humans have some sort of tendency to always alienate anything that does not look how we are used to look, or does not speak the same way as we do. So, humans have a tendency to always kill, abuse, or take advantage of animals. But why is it because of that reason? Well, as many of you know, humans are a more intellectually developed species, which makes it easier for us to live our everyday life. However, this also makes some sort of barrier between us and animals, as it isolates us from the rest of the world. But what can we do to change it? Well, first of all, you should start by respecting animals for multiple reasons. So point is that it shouldn't be because they are inferior to us that we should take advantage of it. I ask myself a lot of whys and hows, such as, why does no one do anything about it? Or why are there barely any consequences when an animal kills an ant? Well, today we're going to focus on the question, why do humans think they're the best, to the point where they would abuse and let abuse continue towards animal kind? For instance, the term we called animal abuse is now occurring in our world. From how I interpret it, animal abuse can range from stepping on an innocent ant to directly murdering endangered species for materials such as a tiger's fur or a rhino's horn. So, as previously stated, humans are a more intellectually developed species, which again makes it easier for us to live our lives, but also differentiates us from animals. And this led to a misconception of a word called anthropocentrism. Anthropocentrism, by definition, is when humankind is seen as a superior entity than the other living beings in our world. This includes plants, minerals, and in this case, animals, which is in some way correct, as I previously stated, we are a more intellectually developed species. However, this also led to a misconception of how we should treat ourselves, but also how we should treat our surroundings, especially animals, as we take advantage of this difference, this intellectual difference, and take it as for advantage. An example of how we take advantage of things would be the animal abuse. Eating food provided by animals has been an ongoing food chain since the oldest ages. However, nowadays, the whole system of it has changed to efficiency and profitability rather than just filling an empty stomach. This completely desensibilizes us from the act of killing, which in a bad way, because of, I think in my opinion, is because of westernized countries like ours, because westernized countries usually keep these doings very private in order to keep people from buying them. I eat meat, but however, I also have to keep in mind what is happening behind closed doors. For example, I don't know if that has ever happened to you, but I know that sometimes when I go to town, I see some protesters showing some videos and wearing some weird masks, and the videos are slaughterhouse footage. The slaughterhouse footage always has some sensitive photos, which actually happens in real life. And it's very easy for me to quickly look away from it because I'm scared of blood. But I think that we should always take in mind that we can always skim through it due to the sensitive images, but do you think those animals can just leave or just say, sorry, no, this is too intense for me? Obviously they can't, so I don't see why we should. Another way we abuse animals would be through the entertainment industries. Actually, the humankind is so self-centered to the point where they would use animals to entertain themselves. Instead of watching movies or just watching books or reading books, they use animals in circuses, zoos, or even dolphinariums. In those entertainment industries, most animals are super badly mistreated due to the fact that most of those industries do not have a lot of money, which always leads them to be underfed, not well medically treated, and usually beat up because they have to learn how to perform tricks for the public eye. And I think this is completely ridiculous and abnormal, as for example, the humanist situation, the acrobats, zookeepers, have the choice to participate in those industries and are getting a salary and can always quit. But do you think those animals, once again, have the choice to work in this type of environment? Do you think they get paid? Do you think they can just be like, I quit, I'm out? No, they can't, because humans force them to perform for our own entertainment once again. And finally, the animal testing industry. I don't know if many of you know what animal testing is, but I know I used to know what it was. When I was younger, I used to think animal testing, quite ridiculous, I know, but I thought that animal testing used to be when humans put makeup on animals in order to see whether it would look good or not in the future. However, this is completely ridiculous, as this is our reality. Animals get mistreated and get killed in those laboratories, and it's not funny. Usually, they get injected with toxic chemicals which are not supposed to be put into any living body, actually, are put in a cage that highly resembles a prison cell, and are forced to live through things that no one should ever be forced through. For example, cosmetic procedures or pharmaceutical products, it's completely useless, and there are so many more alternatives from it. So, for example, animal-free products, which many people do not really know. They don't even make the difference between them because they don't know what's happening behind closed doors, as once again, westernized countries keep those doing very private in order to keep a good clientele. And another point is that humans are that selfish that would also use animal-based products for comfort, but also for fashion. I know that sometimes when I walk to town, I could see women dressed in fur coats and fur boots, or guys wearing fur hat, or even in their house, they could have blankets made of animals or leather couches. And I just think it's completely ridiculous that we use materials based on living beings that we kill for our own comfort when there are so many other options for them, like cotton, for example, which is completely ridiculous, and I think it's very sad. This is my dog, Calypso, and even though she's a bit aggressive when people come into the house because she doesn't really like strangers, I would never in a million years let her go through what those animals go through. Whether it's for animal testing purposes, for entertainment purposes, or even if she's turned into a fur coat, who knows? I would pray every day that nothing like this happens to her. And I don't see why I should treat her differently than how any other animals are treated on a daily basis. Like, why should I treat her differently and treat her like the best person in the world just because I have a sensible attachment to her? This is how we should think about it. If you have a pet, even if it's like a parrot or anything, you should always think about how those other people from the other species would feel in those cages through the rest of their lives until it ends because of us. So, in conclusion, I think that you guys should all take into account what I have said, whether you're going to make drastic changes such as cut down all animal products or advocate for legislative changes or even just talk it to your friends. I think it's time for you to make a decision, whether to ignore what I have just talked to you for the past few minutes or to just continue with your life, while also doing conscious changes that would change whatever is happening to those animals. Because it is our duty, once again, as the more intellectually developed species, to speak for those who cannot speak, hear the ones who cannot be heard, and to defend those who cannot fight. Thank you.